Hello everybody, welcome to the Nintendo Expansion Pass here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host and Light Excited ADV. Joining me is the one, the only bossman himself, Mr. Corey Dirrig. Hello, good sir.
Hello, Edward. How are you?
I am doing great. Just preparing myself for the future of things. Definitely getting ready for PAX East. I'm super excited, everybody. But Corey, we got a kind of...
You're not gonna ask me how I'm doing?
Well, yes. Corey, how are you doing?
Nope. I don't want to tell you now.
Corey, how are you doing?
I'm tired. Look, this is the last batch of expansion passes in this office. So my office is completely empty except for the desk I'm working at and this chair over here that we're probably not taking with us because it's gross. But yeah, man, this is the last. The next. Well, I guess by the time free feeds get this episode, we will already be moved in to our new house. But yeah, this is the last set of expansion passes in this house. So I think we're gonna try to record 3-ish tonight. I think is the goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Behind the scenes for everybody. But yeah, I'm gonna try to salvage some of the soundproofing. I already bought some new soundproofing, but
nice.
I'm gonna try to salvage what I can and throw the rest away. The green soundproofing is a little bit it's been hanging for 4 years, so it's a little dirty, and I don't want to keep that. But I bought some dark blue and black, so should be cool.
Yes.
I need to get everything put away and done over there because it's driving me nuts that it's not done. But also I'm waiting on a piece of furniture. I need to hang 2 shelves. And I have two Zelda posters, Ed. I have they're older ones, but they're framed. I have a Link Between Worlds poster.
Yes.
Which is really cool. And then I have a Wind Waker HD poster, which is really cool. And what I would like to do, what my idea is, I showed you the wall where the Zelda shield is.
Yes.
On my wall. There's like that intersection of wall, like the 90-degree angle. In this wall, like here's the shield wall, right? I guess, right? And then coming out this way, this wall is blank. And that's where my other TV is going. And I'm waiting on a piece of furniture. But my idea is I'm going to have poster like on top of each other.
Yeah,
they're 24 by 36. They're not the full 27 by 40. And then I'm gonna have a shelf in between, and it's gonna be all my Zelda amiibo and
nice.
Like my Twilight Princess boxes, and I have the Twilight Princess shield and sword special thing, and then I'm gonna have all my Zelda amiibo on that shelf. And just kind of have like a Zelda corner-esque thing. And then on the other side of the TV will probably be my Destiny poster up and down.
Oh, the Destiny stuff. And then that's nice. And then like, is the TV like in the middle? Everything?
Yeah, we're gonna mount it. So I bought one of those, like, you know, those cube organizers. They're either like, you know, 4 cubes, 6 cubes, 8 cubes, whatever.
Yeah.
I bought one of those as like a storage unit / entertainment center. So my Series S, like my second TV will be mounted above it, and then my Series S and a Switch dock will be on top. And I'll probably hook my Wii U back up too.
Okay. You already mounted one of the TVs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's the one
that's my new TV. Yeah.
That's the new one. Okay. But that's the one that's downstairs, correct?
Yes. This one will also be downstairs.
Is it on the long wall? Like right where the stairs are at?
Yeah.
Okay. Because then it's the other side that's long that leads to the laundry room and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. I hooked my Series X up to it today, and a Switch dock. And my sound bar is mounted. So the TV and the sound bar are mounted. The entertainment center is put together underneath. and my Series X and a Switch dock is hooked up to that TV now. No internet over there yet, so we had to go all archaic and put a Blu-ray into the into the Xbox so my kids could watch like a movie or something. But it's all good. I'm very excited. I also have my new / old coffee table. So this coffee table, sorry everybody, I know this is real exhilarating stuff. But my coffee table that I've been wanting to use since I've been wanting to use it in a home of some sort since before I met my wife. Like that's how old this table is. My dad made it when he was maybe my age or younger. And it's just this big, like square oak coffee table, but it's so nice and it's so big. And it's finally in a room where I can use it. So very excited. And then the couch this old couch is going to go in the basement and we got a new couch. Did I show you our new couch?
I seen the blue one that kind of looks like
that's our new one. Yeah.
Cause it's like it's a big long couch. That's downstairs too, right?
Nope. That's in the living room. That's upstairs.
That's by the
main room.
When you get in the door.
Yeah.
Correct. That would be on the left, I think.
When you walk into the front door to the left. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then we mounted the TV up above the fireplace too.
Ah, nice.
So maybe I didn't send you the updated picture, but yeah, it's
I think
it's coming along.
I think you did. I think when you sent me the couch one, I think the TV was mounted on that.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that was Saturday. No, was that yesterday, Sunday, or Saturday? I think that was Saturday.
It was a couple days ago. Yeah.
Okay.
It might have been yesterday because we mounted it yesterday. I don't know, man. Dude, this weekend has been so long. This weekend it's been about 17 days. So, but yeah, I've kind of tried to shove everything onto these bookshelves, and it's just not working how I planned it on working. But I have 2 more shelves to hang, and then I have these tiny shelves that I have no idea what I'm doing with them. I don't even know if I'm going to keep them or not, but I'll figure it out once we hang these other shelves. But I'm very excited. This is turning out to be, I've realized I have a lot of Destiny stuff too. I mean, I knew I did, but
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have too much Destiny stuff. And then I have my Yarn Yoshi amiibo just kind of sitting around random shelves because it's funny.
I mean, that literally is a Yoshi game. It's just like we're still hanging around. Be like, wait a minute, what is this?
Yeah,
it's Yoshi. Okay, that works.
Yeah. So, and some of the games I have on display, I think it's fun to have them on display, but I might put some of them away. I don't know yet. We'll see. The last thing, Ed, that I want to display somewhere on this shelf back here behind, or I'm looking at the picture like you can see. But like above the fireplace somewhere is my original, I still have my original Game Boy box.
Ooh.
And I want to have it in frame somewhere. And maybe I'll just hang one of these tiny shelves and put like my Game Boy box on it, and maybe a couple of games that I like, my last story boxes over here, and some of these other like really weird collector's things that
so there, I'm looking at the picture with I guess you got all, it's the fireplace. I think it's downstairs, and you got all the statues on the fireplace, and there's that empty spot by the white by the bookcase, bookcase.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm like, maybe it's something could, like, if you get shelves in there or something, maybe you could fit stuff in there.
Yeah, I have these, like, I have tiny shelves that fit there. I just don't know what to do yet. So TBD on that section. Yeah, because it's like everything is kind of like not the spacing is off, so like it just kind of looks weird in like the way the room is set up.
Yeah.
But I don't know what to do there is the problem. So
Well, definitely something shelf wise would do
yeah,
it. Yeah, I would probably say that maybe if you do got like empty boxes or something or casings that you want to put there, maybe controllers, maybe like accessories and stuff.
yeah,
Um,
I have my original Duke Xbox controller. I have my 20th anniversary Xbox controller that I can probably put there. Um, yeah, I could probably put stuff like that there. That might look cool. I
yeah,
have maybe I'll put like my mini Nintendo and Super Nintendo consoles up there on display.
that'd be nice. The mini
Um,
consoles.
yeah, maybe I'll do that. That's a good idea. I'll put like my Tetris box at the top and then like just random kind of things down the side. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
yes. So
Okay, maybe I'll do that. Oh, I'm so excited for this, man. I'm so excited for this office to be done. I also want to get some LED lights, like maybe some blue ones, and just
uh
stick under the fire, like the fireplace, and maybe along the lines of some of the bookshelves that are hanging, and just to give it some
oomph.
color, especially when we're recording, because I'm gonna have like the ring lights on me, so
Yeah,
uh, I don't want the lights on overhead because it just gets glary and it looks weird. You know, if you have like a desk set up, it just looks it's gonna be weird. I don't want too much light, so maybe I'll get that and it'll look fun. So
nice,
very
nice.
excited, Ed. I'm very excited for this move. The office looks great. The upstairs looks great. The bathrooms are huge. Um, so yeah,
All right. Well, Corey, you ready to get into today's topic?
I guess people are probably tired of hearing about me moving. So I will do. I'm gonna do like I think I'm gonna do a video of like a tour of the office and maybe put together some pictures and some kind of video or whatever. Uh,
Nice.
just because it might be fun. Might
The
be fun.
new the new Boss Rush headquarters, I should say.
Yeah, I should
What?
probably have. Sorry, I should probably have something boss rush in this room, huh? Probably like a some sort of picture or
Yeah.
something of the logo somewhere, maybe.
Uh, well, everybody, um, we know that there's been a lot of layoffs in the video game field in the industry. We kind of it's been close to a year of layoffs and more pretty much are coming. Um, and we kind of want I know if you guys watched the Boss Rush Awards, hopefully you guys have checked it out. Please do go check it out. Corey gave a very engaging and sentimental monologue about it. About the developers who actually lost their jobs, who were laid off to create these amazing games that we played last year, and years before. And we know that people were upset at the Game Awards because of these layoffs happening. And me and Corey kind of was talking about it, kind of off camera, about the layoffs. And I kind of noticed, I was telling him it's weird that with the layoffs that a lot of this is happening in the Western companies, here in America and probably like maybe Canada and UK, but we're not seeing it in Japan at this moment. Like I haven't heard anything from Bandai Namco, Capcom, Konami, and definitely do all of this turmoil. Nintendo hasn't had any layoffs, and I kind of want to ask you, Corey, why do you think um Nintendo hasn't been affected, do you think it's because of the success of the Switch and the games? Um,
I I think there's multiple factors here, and we've talked about it before in passing, right?
mm-hmm.
Uh, but I think there's multiple things, and there's a couple that are very, very significant, and I think some of it goes all the way back to Iwata and all that, and I saw that kind of circulating late last year. His salary cut to keep employees employed, and we'll get to that because I think that is important
Yes,
for the long term health of Nintendo
I
specifically.
I have a report about that by MSNBC.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll get to
yeah,
that because these other points aren't going to. I mean, they're going to be talking points, but they're not going to be. You know, they're not as important. I mean, they're maybe more important than that
mm,
at this stage in the game, but that was I think uh anyways, we'll get to that. I think first off, um Nintendo's production budgets are probably, and I don't know this for sure, but I can take a guess that their budgets are not as high as someone like PlayStation's or Xbox's based on solely on the way Nintendo operates, right?
yes,
They don't they don't make ultra realistic games that look like The Last of Us or Horizon or God of War, right? They don't make these massive, experiences like Halo or um, Gears of War or something. I mean, we saw Spider-Man 2's budget was $312 million, right?
yes.
In that Insomniac leak, and that is ridiculous. That game, like, it's a beautiful game. It's a great playing game, but that game did not scream Sony's most expensive game to date to me, right? Just didn't. Um, and so I think you could probably look at something like Zelda probably being their most expensive game to make, and I don't know what their budget was. I'm just judging based on the length of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, or the length of how long it took to make, from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, and before that even. Um, they are the masters of asset recycling, right? Especially in something like Mario, like warp pipes are everywhere. Enemies, don't really vary a whole lot in terms of what they look like, or also it costs more to create assets at 4K the way that Sony and Microsoft do, and
Yes.
Nintendo doesn't do that because their console isn't capable of 4K. It's barely capable of 1080p sometimes. And so I think you have to look at all that. They don't spend the budgets on voice acting. I mean, Zelda is their biggest voice acting game of all time, I think,
Um,
at this point, right? I mean, aside from maybe if they have a second party working on something, like I would say like Metroid Other M probably had a lot of voice acting, maybe
Xenoblade
some Fire.
Chronicles.
Yeah,
Uh,
Xenoblade. Yes,
yeah,
Xenoblade.
Xenoblade 3 is, but Xenoblade, and this is the thing about it, because Zelda and Xenoblade, they have a lot of voice acting in it, but they're kind of using people who are not known until after it comes out. You'd be like, oh, this is the credits that they use. I'm like, oh, okay. But those are kind of like the big ones. Bayonetta 2 and 3, because that's Platinum Games, that also varies. But like in a consistent like games from Nintendo, not so much that they spend, you know, another Cold Recollection is all voice acted. It's a lot, but in each game you probably have more than, well, for the first one there's like 6 people that voice act stuff, but the lines are not that long. And
Yeah.
you mostly hear two main actors for that. And then when you get to the second one, It's about 6-7 people, but you still are dealing with two voice actors mainly doing everything. So they don't spend for voice acting. It's kind of started to come in for Nintendo, but I think they're not spending a lot on those voice actors. Like they're not trying to get Troy Baker or the one from Uncharted.
No,
and yeah, they're not trying to get all of these big names and stuff for their games, because once again, Nintendo sees fit when voice acting is for when it's needed and stuff. But like for their particular games, yeah, Zelda will probably be the biggest, and you really only have Zelda and Ganon that mostly does a lot of the voice acting in the game.
Well, I would say in Tears of the Kingdom, you have all the champions, you have the spirits, you have, uh, there's a lot of voice acting in Tears of the Kingdom to a degree, especially, it's, I think the point that I'm making is that Nintendo uses their budgets in other places other than what, how big of a spectacle they can make. And I mean, look at Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild's systems in particular. They probably spent that budget on obviously gameplay engineers and people who made the game great instead of, obviously I think Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild use a lot of the same animations for Link. I think they obviously use a lot of the same assets. They use a lot of the same things. The change is the functionality and things they changed within the world, and obviously the depths are a huge addition. But the animations, like they don't use a lot of mocap, if any, in their games, right? Link's been running the same way since Ocarina of Time, in a sense. So, I don't know, man. I think Nintendo has been very budget conscious for a long time. I think probably since the GameCube, maybe after, right, when we started seeing ambitious titles on the PS3 and 360, and then we got, after the GameCube, we got the Wii, which was essentially a little bit more powerful GameCube, and nothing wrong with that, but like I think that's where you started seeing obviously Nintendo is using older technology than the other consoles, so they're trying to at least break even or make a little bit of a profit on every console sold instead of losing money on the consoles, which is a big thing for Sony and Microsoft, right? Like when they release a console, they lose money and hope that the software subsidizes the console, right? Like that was the whole point of these boxes. And Nintendo was making a profit on the Switch right out of the gate. So Nintendo's been very smart, and I think it all kind of stems from Iwata and that regime really preparing Nintendo for the future, because Iwata cut, the big story is that Iwata cut his salary so he could keep Nintendo employees employed. And I think when you work in a place where you don't have to worry about if your job is safe, right? Your mind can be focused on the job, right? Whereas, look at the thing that Bungie is going through right now, for example, right? They just laid off a lot of people on their team, big names on the team, and internally they're talking that there's going to be another round of layoffs after the final shape. Their gameplay director just announced he's leaving, right? Their game director, who's been part of this game for 7-8 years. They've lost a lot of big names. They're going to refocus the studio, probably maybe more towards Marathon, with Marathon will probably start being their primary project, and Destiny will be their secondary project. Nothing wrong with that. Destiny's been around for 10 years. It's probably time for Bungie to do something new, right? But a lot of people still love Destiny. And Bungie has, it's been really weird the last 6 months when they kind of, I don't know, whenever the layoffs happened, and they announced they were going to start outsourcing some stuff. And one of them is their PR stuff. And I start getting these PR emails from Uber Strategist. I get a ton of stuff from Uber Strategist because everybody uses Uber Strategist as a PR firm, especially a lot of indie developers.
Mm-hmm.
And I start getting Uber Strategist things for Destiny, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's when the studio has shifted, because they've always been about community. They've always been about being connected to their community through voices at Bungie. And now their weekly blogs called This Week, well, they used to be called This Week at Bungie. Now it's This Week in Destiny, because they're preparing for another one for Marathon. But it used to be one of the community managers always signed it, like they would always sign it with their name. Now it just says the Destiny 2 community team. And it's like, oh, okay, well, there's a lot of reasons that could be, right? I mean, the Destiny community is great, but it's also pretty toxic when it comes to, I would not, there's a reason why Damage left. There's a reason why, some of these people left Bungie over time, because like the community people, because it's just so negative. And that's probably the case everywhere. I'm just really tuned into the Bungie community, but there's been a major shift to that studio, and it's because leadership has been poor recently. They've made a lot of decisions over the course of the last 5 years that didn't pan out. They're laying people off, and now people are, saying that the final shape has to hit, right? It has to be the biggest thing Bungie's ever done. Also, when this comes out, a lot of you are getting laid off because we're shifting directions. Oh, great. I should make this product amazing so I can go look for a job in 3, 4, 5 months, right? And then when to bring this back around to Nintendo, Iwata took that salary cut, and what was it, like 2014, 2015, somewhere in there?
2014, yeah.
Yeah, when the Wii U was doing terribly, obviously the Wii U just did terrible in general. The 3DS had sold at that point about a quarter of what the DS had sold. And the 3DS ended up selling more units after the price drop and games started coming out, right? But at that time, the 3DS was not doing the numbers they were hoping after the huge success of the DS, right? I mean, the DS is the second best-selling console of all time at this point, behind the PS2. Now, I think the Switch is about to pass it, probably this year at some point.
Yeah.
But if you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network. Iwata, everybody's like, Nintendo's gonna go third party. They're gonna, their leadership's gonna be fired or something, whatever. Like, and he took his pay cut to keep his employees employed and to keep developers around, because he believed in the creative vision and having a strong foundation for a team more than he cared about his. Now, granted, he's the CEO of Nintendo, right? He probably he was probably making a lot of money, and good money, right?
Oh, I got that too.
Yeah. So tell us about this report before we go any further with this discussion.
Okay, so this report is on CNBC, and the title is called "Nintendo CEO Wants Half His Salary to Prevent Layoffs in Their Work. Why That's So Uncommon Today." This was written by Ashton Jackson, not the movie Action Jackson. But it says,
what about the famous Jet Jackson?
Oh, wow. uh, as sweeping rounds of layoffs rocked the tech, media, and finance industries in 2024, some video game fans are thinking about former Nintendo CEO Satoru Iwata. Iwata ran the Kyoto, Japan-based video game company from 2002 until his death in 2015. In 2013, Nintendo released the Wii U console as a successor as the mega popular Wii. It was a commercial failure, pushing the company into years of losses. To avoid layoffs, Iwata took a 50% pay cut to help pay for employee salaries, saying a fully staffed Nintendo would have a better chance of rebounding. He quotes, "If we reduce the number of employees for better short term financial results, employee morale will decrease, and I sincerely doubt employees who fear that they may be laid off will be able to develop software titles that could impress people around the world," Iwata reportedly said at the time. His story resurfaced virally on social media last month, with some users praising his decision against the backdrop of layoffs at video game companies like Riot Games and Microsoft, which owns Activision Blizzard and Xbox. And we kind of Activision kind of was brought up because Bobby Kotick. He had just got a raise, or he had just got a lot of money, and they laid off a lot of people. This was during around that time, when Iwata cut his salary. Um, and Iwata has for Iwata, taking a pay cut over layoffs center around his employees' ability to bounce back, Verma says. Slashing his own salary allowed existing talent to keep working on upcoming projects, which were intended to turn Nintendo's financial fortress around in a stress-free, high-morale environment. The company released its next game console, the Switch, in 2017. Nintendo has since sold more than 139 million Switches as of December 2023. Nintendo needed to see through the changes that necessitated launching the Nintendo Switch, which has been massively popular for the company, says Verma. They needed to retain that talent, and a part of that talent retention strategy is a strong compensation package. It's a risky move. Any CEO who follows Iwata's example needs to be absolutely sure that the company strategy is still sound, or that the products they're offering are still right for the market. Um, then there's one that says his decision could have been influenced by culture. There may have been a cultural aspect to Iwata's decision. Culturally speaking, in Japan, especially in the face of companies not doing well and feeling contrition or being apologetic, there's this notion of individuals needing to save face, Verma said. And the way they might do that is taking a pay cut. The concept of Hansai, a practice that emphasizes self-reflecting and meditating on mistakes to form a proper apology and set forth a prevention plan going forward, is considered common across traditional Japanese culture. Those tenets tend to be useful for helping CEOs get back into the good graces of their employees or the general public, particularly when CEOs are more broadly seen as prioritizing profits over accountability and trustworthiness. Harvard Business School professor Sandra Sucher told CNBC Make It last year. "We're in a crisis of trust and leadership in the U.S. right now," Sucher said. "Leaders of all kinds are failing some of the basic expectations that people have for how they should be treated." So, that is the article at CNBC online. You guys can read it for yourselves. I know I kind of read a lot of it, but it really was a big thing to hear, because um the transitions of layoffs, um and this is just my opinion, has kind of started with the PS3 360 era, where they weren't laying off people, they were closing studios if a game didn't sell. And when the layoffs and stuff started kind of happening was a little bit during the PS3/PS4 transition, going into that next generation, even with Xbox One. So they weren't closing studios, but they were starting laying off. And just with Series X and S and PlayStation 5 now kind of being the current generation, we just started seeing more layoffs happen and everything. that's why if you look at Forsaken, um that game didn't sell well or anything, so they only closed the studio and then moved people to other parts in Square Enix and stuff. Where if you look at when Corey mentioned Bungie, Sony purchased Bungie, and Bungie was independent, but now they're under their first party um under Sony, even though they own their IP and stuff. Um Sony probably told Bungie they had to make a decision and let people go and everything. I don't know if that was a Bungie plan, but under Sony that happened. Under Microsoft, um, they reduced people and stuff, and that was a bad timing of them laying off people after they just reported profits that company made. So if that was a 2-for-1 on the day that announcement was made, that Microsoft made profits, but they laid people off, and they were just like different positions, stuff, and it wasn't really too game related. But that happened. Now, if we look at Nintendo, they just reported that they're one of the richest companies in Japan right now with $11 billion.
I just saw one that they are the richest because they have what, like $11 billion in cash on hand.
Yes,
and that doesn't count. That's just cash. That's not like any assets that they own, right? Like it doesn't include buildings, studios that they own, that kind of stuff, right? It's just they have cash, and I think that stems from, obviously the Switch has sold well. They hit on that, right?
Yes.
The games budgets versus what they're selling is the ratios in their favor, right? They know when to re-release something. They know when to put something new out. Like their strategy with the Switch over the last 7 years has just worked. Everything they've done, almost everything they've done has worked, right?
Yes.
Almost everything they've done has worked. And so, and I think on an episode coming up, we're going to talk about, will Nintendo find this same success or, with their next console? And I think that what they've done with the Switch is remarkable, especially coming off the Wii U. But I still think it all stems from his creative mind over his business mind, and the fact that he was able to keep this creative team around. Obviously I don't really know how jobs work in Japan, right? Like I know people don't move jobs nearly as often as they do in the US, right?
Yes.
But I think him having the foresight of keeping this team together because he had that vision, because the Switch is his vision, right? Even though he passed away, right before it came out, right? He passed away. Like, it's still his vision. This is what he wanted the Wii U to be. And they just, we talk about this 100 times. Like, the Switch is just the Wii U, but backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the Wii U is a little bit different, right? They wanted to bring that DS experience home. They wanted you to be able to play with a second screen, because the second screen experience was like the hot new thing in 2012 and 2013, and then it just didn't pan out. But ultimately, like, the Wii U became, I'm going to play my console games in a handheld form. But they had it backwards, right? They were streaming from the box to the screen. And, that was the big joke, was like, oh, I can't even like stream on my couch because it's too far away from my TV. I have to be like sitting on the floor or whatever.
And I think at that time it was that technology.
Yeah.
And because look, Valve put out Valve had streaming consoles come out that failed. But now look how successful Valve is with the Steam Deck. Like, if you literally go on social media right now, you will see people playing Helldivers on Steam Deck. Like
Helldivers. That's a game I want to play, and I haven't played yet.
That's because of the Switch, but because of the Wii U, and once again, we talk about Nintendo being innovative in everything. The Wii U, whatever people think about it, the reason I feel that I personally feel like it didn't make a splash is because it didn't have the third party at that time. But if you look how strong Wii U's first party is, we've done a 25 ranking. We got time capsule games that we literally could have went on and on for Wii U. The ports that's coming to Wii U are still hitting numbers on Switch now. So it's just like it's not Nintendo's library. It wasn't a console or anything. Man, I used my gamepad as a remote control to turn on my TV. That was phenomenal. Watching YouTube, Hulu, Netflix, playing games on it. Like I was able to do all of that, do my Switch. And yes, I mean on my Wii U. And yes, I couldn't leave my room too far or it would disconnect. But don't forget, we had the Wavebird when Nintendo was doing that. You know,
I just found my Wavebird today.
like, and we was doing that right, and we was doing that stuff on the GameCube. So I think at the time it's just like the technology wasn't there yet. And don't forget, Nintendo wants to make their consoles affordable. So if we were doing stuff like we was doing, we had the Switch stuff that we was doing on Wii U, that thing would not be at $400. That thing probably would have been at $600 or $700, and Nintendo's not trying to do a Neo Geo at all. They know that we can, if we can sell our console at a profit, and a profit of getting games, that is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
You know, like that was the thing, and I always said that, and they even Nintendo said this. They had $10 million, or they had money in the bank saved up if they had whenever they had went out of business. They said they would start from the ground up again and get back into the entertainment system.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Nintendo would have ever gone out of business, right? Like,
right.
I mean, it's Nintendo. They have investors, they have IP, they have, they have all these different things. The Wii was a huge success. They had that. Remember the war chest, the warranted war chest. When the Wii U was doing bad, Nintendo has the war chest. They're gonna dig into that and give us something innovative in a couple years or whatever. And like, nobody really knew that, right? Everybody was just thinking that Nintendo has lost it in the hardware space. They're gonna make games for other consoles, and Mario Kart's going to sell 60 million units on PlayStation and Xbox. And it's like, well, their next console came out and it's just sold 60 million units on that console. Like, we just talked about that on PAL Block at one point.
Right.
But, I think, I don't think Nintendo would have ever gone out of business. I think they would have just refocused. They would have shifted. Maybe they would have clearly not been in the same category as PlayStation or Xbox, which you could argue they're not now, right? I mean, I think everybody that owns one of the other consoles, like, a lot of people don't own all the consoles like we do, right? Like, somebody either owns an Xbox or owns a PlayStation, and then they own a Switch, right? The Switch is everybody's second console, quote unquote, right? And I'm not saying that like it's, Switch could be your primary. My point is like, if you're going to have two consoles, Switch is one of them. And that's where Nintendo is winning, is being that different console. And that's where Xbox is struggling right now. We love Xbox. A lot of people love Xbox. But the PlayStation is outselling at 3-1. That we found out in that about 2.5-1 consoles, which we found out from the Take-Two earnings report of all places. And it's like, man, if we could just find a way, if Xbox could just find a way to differentiate itself from PlayStation and find a way to like even smell what Nintendo has done over the last 7 years, right?
I was talking to Larry from World War One, and we was having a discussion about this because they were everybody thinking Xbox going third party and all of that nonsense. I told them I was just like, Microsoft and Sony wish they could do what Nintendo is doing now, business wise.
I mean,
Like,
on that point, real quick, like we talked about how Nintendo has every single one of their top 10 has sold 15 million units or more, right? And Sony, and granted, this is still a major milestone in games. I'm not trying to take anything away from this, but Spider-Man sold 10 million units and they're celebrating, right? It's like,
yes.
And that's the best-selling game on the PlayStation 5. No, maybe God of War is. My point is like Spider-Man's like a top 3 game on the PlayStation 5. And it's like, man, that's so crazy that Nintendo re-released Mario Kart 8 and it sold 61 million units. And they're just like, no, cool.
But this is even crazier, Corey. Spider-Man, what, Spider-Man 1 or 2? Or just the first Spider-Man?
2.
Okay, Spider-Man 2 sold 10 million. Why is Mario Wonder still in a game, still being sold, still hitting milestones, still being talked about, and not Spider-Man 2? It's fascinating that Mario Wonder is still doing the numbers that it is doing. No disrespect to Insomniac or anything, but when I'm seeing that Mario Wonder is still on the list of games that's being sold, and I'm not seeing Spider-Man 2, that says something. That Spider-Man 2 hit its peak, did what it needed to do, and it might come back once more systems come out. But you want to have Super Mario Brother Wonder's number where it's consistently selling week after week after week, month after month after month. That's what you want to do. You know, and so bringing these big worlds and having these cinematics and, you know, mocap and all of this stuff, that is great. But you hope that with this greatness that stays on a consistent basis of sales. You know, I'm looking so much forward to Hellblade 2. And my fear is that it's going to have the player count because of Game Pass. But I'm like, it's not going to have that sales numbers that I wish it had to recoup all that money that they're investing into this game.
This is a prestige title for Xbox, right? This is not a title that you do for sales numbers. This is a look what we did. This is our prestige title with storytelling and graphics, and you know, and not to take anything away from Ninja Theory. I hope Hellblade sells 10 million copies, right?
Exactly. Yes.
I think realistically we know it's not going to. And so you know, and that's because it's on one platform. It's on PC Game Pass, it's on Xbox Game Pass. It's the Game Pass effect. It's why Starfield sold 6 million units instead of 15, right? Is people played it on Game Pass. I didn't buy it. I played it on Game Pass. I'm not going to lie to you.
I bought it.
Well, it's because you don't. Anyways, we could have that discussion a different day.
Yeah.
But my point is like, it's the prestige thing, and that's where, you know, Microsoft right now is in a position where they have to explore other options, because it's kind of proven, in my opinion, Game Pass is not working the way they wanted it to, right? It is a supplemental thing, not the end all be all. You know, and they made these decisions because they had to, because they were losing, right? Day one Game Pass for first party, all these acquisitions, these types of things, right? They were losing, and they had to find a way to get a leg up. And granted, that's great. I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these moves for the long term of especially something like Game Pass have been, I think these maybe a little bit detrimental to their ecosystem and maybe a little bit detrimental to gaming as a whole. And this is someone I love Game Pass because it's cheap and I don't have to buy games, but that's the point. And that's why Microsoft's not making any money, is because you subscribe to Game Pass. And, if they came out and said they have 34 million Game Pass subscribers, and that includes Game Pass Core, which was Xbox Live Gold, right?
Yes.
So that would be about 28 million subscribers, which is down 2 million from the last time they reported numbers 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the model is clearly not working for Microsoft. And I know people are going to like maybe roll their eyes or whatever, but like they, at this point, their original projections, they wanted to be at 50 million subscribers at this point, and they are so far away from that. Yeah. And that's what's causing them to explore other options to make money. Now, granted, they have a lot of games that make money on other platforms. MLB The Show, Minecraft, Call of Duty is now theirs, Diablo's now theirs, Overwatch is theirs. They have plenty of titles that will make them money on other consoles, right?
Yeah.
But like now the games they're looking at are games that weren't previously on other consoles. Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves. What was the other one? Grounded, I guess, was the other one.
Yeah.
And I know they said that they're only looking at these 4 games. It's not going to stop there.
They're looking at 4 games, but we don't know at this time. So we're just hinting at
this is what was reported at the time of this recording by places like The Verge and Windows Central. Hi-Fi Rush is going to make a killing on Switch,
and that literally is the thing, because we talked about this on Power Block a while back, where we said that Microsoft is going to get the business. We as Nintendo and Sony are getting the benefit to playing this game. They're going to win because they're getting purchases. They're getting money from the purchases of those games. You can't do a Game Pass on, and I don't know what Sony's going. I don't think Sony's going to try to do it on PlayStation Plus.
What?
Putting Hi-Fi Rush like on their.
Oh no! I think the new goal for Microsoft now is to take these, I would say, smaller titles, but I wouldn't put it past them to maybe try with Master Chief Collection at some point, especially when the next Halo is getting ready to come out, and they're like, we've extracted everything we possibly can from Xbox players and PC players. Let's put it on PlayStation. Let's put it on Switch 2. Let's see what we can extract out of this box, right? And so, and my thing is, they're going to use it as a advertisement for upcoming games, right? Okay, Halo, what is it? Halo 7 will be coming out. I'm just going to call it Halo 7 is coming out. Let's put Master Chief Collection out. See how it does. Okay. Also, they're going to release their games $70 here, or you can subscribe to Game Pass. Come to Xbox, because they already said Xbox is going to be the only place you can get Game Pass now, besides PC, right? Nintendo obviously doesn't want it. PlayStation has their own subscription service that will compete with Game Pass. They don't want it. Xbox is the only place you get it. So what do? Oh, Starfield, and it's not coming to PlayStation. I'm just using it as an example. Starfield, $70 on PlayStation, or $16 on Game Pass. You buy an Xbox, you can get it for $16. You can get it as part of your subscription to Game Pass. Okay, one game, $70, big deal. Oh, the next Doom coming to PlayStation, $70. Oh, it's part of your Game Pass subscription over here for $16. Okay,
but this is the thing. Hold on. This is the thing that people are not catching on.
I know, but this is. I think this is where their mindset is now. Okay. Oh, okay, $140. Okay, still cheaper than a year Game Pass. Oh, Indiana Jones finally coming to PlayStation, $70. Oh, well, you could have gotten it 6 months early and for $16 over here on Game Pass. Okay, well, I just spent $210 on 3 games when I could have just subscribed to Game Pass for a month and played it there. And I think I think they're hoping, and I don't know if it'll happen or not. I don't think it's going to work out as well as they plan. It might convert some people, but I think what they're hoping is we're going to use the other platforms to advertise franchises that they can come play on our box, and we're going to put out games, these smaller games or these games that are not key to Xbox's long-term health, right? Like Halo, Gears, Forza, Fable. I wouldn't say any of those would ever come to PlayStation or Xbox unless it's some sort of collection that is years old, right? But I think they're going to use that as an advertisement for Game Pass. I think every Xbox game that comes to PlayStation now will have, instead of the Xbox Game Studios logo, I think right after that, it's going to have a Game Pass logo.
Well, so, and this is the thing about it. I think it's going to be the Xbox Game Studio stuff not going to be on their platform, but previous third-party stuff.
Sea of Thieves is coming over.
Right.
Intimate's coming over. Those are Xbox Game Studios.
But don't forget, Rare used to be third/second with Nintendo.
But it's been associated with Xbox Game Studios for 20-something years now.
Right. Yeah. But I'm saying that Rare was a company that wasn't built up from the ground up like Xbox Game Studios, like stuff like that was built up from the ground up. Is what I'm talking about. Like 343 Studios, the Coalition, Playground, all of that stuff, the initiative, all of that was built up from Xbox. There were anything that was existing previous. Grounded and Pentiment probably has been brought up. Who actually did Pentiment?
Obsidian did a Pentiment.
Okay, so Obsidian was already established. So what I'm saying is, I think what I'm trying to get with Xbox, and I know we kind of got off the layoff part,
but I think this ties into Nintendo though. We're going to get back to that. It does tie into our conversation about Nintendo.
Yes, because I think the thing about it is that when we look at Nintendo, with their philosophy of how they do their business and everything, we're not seeing layoffs off from them because they have hit success. Xbox could hit that same success, and Xbox is successful, like you said earlier, Corey, on a whole bunch of areas. Nintendo is somewhat may be the gateway for their American games to be introduced to Japanese players to enjoy. If that console is not selling, PC is a whole different area. Like if Hi-Fi Rush hit Japan and it wasn't hitting on Xbox, but it hits on Switch, that's money for Microsoft. That's good coin for Microsoft. On top of America supporting that game, like the support with the dollars because of sales is what Microsoft is looking forward to. Yes, they love that people are on Game Pass, and they love that they would get those subscriptions that would not hit the cancel button or anything. They love that. But why not try to get more if they can? If our games can hit other markets and other places do another way, and it's a good relationship, and it also helps rebuild the money that we spend on budgeting these games and stuff. Trust me, if Hi-Fi Rush can hit 2 million alone on Switch and sales, you don't think Microsoft is not going to brag about that? You don't think there's going to be a Windows Central news story about that? Oh, trust me, it's going to be one. You're going to see on Nintendo Live. And the more recognition a game from Microsoft is getting, that's going to intrigue for more people to be like, oh, maybe I need to try it. Though it happened to The Witcher 3. It happened to Doom. Everybody who put their stuff on Switch was just like, I'm curious enough to buy and give them money for something that may not be top quality. Why the heck is the internet talking about I'm beating The Witcher 3 on Switch? I'm enjoying Doom on Switch. Oh, that's Bethesda and who's The Witcher? What can I think of?
CD Projekt.
CD Projekt Red. They are getting that coin. Activision knew that we're going to fool around the TC's first with Diablo 3. Diablo 3 was on Switch and it's making them money. Like, They know if they're making that money, great that you're making that money. Make sure that that money that you get is not used to lay off people, lay off these developers and studios. I don't care if it's from a port, I don't care if it's from your own studio house. Make sure that money that you guys are getting doesn't go to where you still have to lay people off.
Yeah. But I do think I think Microsoft is also using Nintendo's probably their next platform. To be honest, I think Sea of Thieves will probably come to the next platform. I think we're going to see these games announced at the partner showcase, which will have happened by the time this airs for patrons, because I think it's happening Wednesday and we're recording on Monday. But I think you're going to see Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment there at least. And I think Microsoft, we know Microsoft wants to make a handheld. We know it's probably in development right now. We know they're making multiple pieces of hardware, whether it's for next generation or the current generation. We don't know that much yet, but we do know that a handheld is in the plans. And I think they're experimenting with the ROG Ally to see what works and what doesn't. I think they're experimenting with the Switch to see what kinds of games work best in a handheld situation. And then they will finalize their plans and release a proper Xbox handheld with an Xbox UI. It'll work seamlessly with your Series S, Series X, and whatever the next generation console is. It'll be like the Steam Deck where you take your library on the go, right? It'll be your portable Game Pass machine, which is another reason why I think Game Pass isn't native on Steam Deck, by the way, is because I think Xbox is saving it for their handheld.
Yeah.
And where it comes back to Switch is like I think they want to have their games portable. Like if they have portable experiences, like if there's a new Banjo-Kazooie or a new Spyro coming, like, oh, you can buy it on Switch for $60, right? And take it with you. Or, you know, if you're a Game Pass subscriber and you have our handheld, you can take it on the go with you. And there's a dock, or it has an HDMI out on it already, or the next Xbox is going to have both consoles in one. That'll just be like this massive.
And this is how they're going. This is how they're going to get. Because so they have two options. They could do it where if you buy digital Switch, you could also play it on our Xbox handheld. You know, of course, that's a price cut and all of that stuff. Whatever.
Well, it'll work the way that, like, you know, if you're a Game Pass subscriber and then you buy this game on $70, your save will work across platform, right? That'll be the thing.
But
Disney Dreamlight Valley taught me that, everybody.
But yes, and the second thing is Microsoft. No, they know. Oh, physical sells well on Switch or Nintendo. Let's put out a physical version, even though it's still digital and it's on Game Pass for Xbox. Let's see if we can get $50, $60, or let's just say 50. You know,
yeah.
It's not a limited run or anything. This is coming from Microsoft. Oh, we're going to see pre-orders go up because everybody's going to be like, I want that box art and I want that cart. Because Hi-Fi Rush got some amazing box art. That game looks beautiful. If it could run at a lock 30, you know, and everything, and it's smooth. There's no hiccups. There probably will be some hiccups. We'll look at Digital Foundry for that. If they could put it off on Switch and just say this game, if they want to do a Metroid Prime remaster thing, do it. It's digitally right now after this showcase. If you want a physical, it's coming out in March or in April. If they want to do that, you better believe they're going to get that coin because of that physical. And if Nintendo is the only one that's going to have the physical, Microsoft is smart enough to get that money because they know that physical sales are going to happen. I'm gonna have it. I might not buy. I already own it on Xbox digitally. I don't need it on it digitally on Switch. I need to go into the Best Buy and I need to go to the counter and pick up my curbside pickup of that physical game and then skip my tail home with some sushi. That's what I need to do and everything. And others going because trust me, Microsoft is going to be looking at social media. They know people are going to be taking pictures that they got their copy of Hi-Fi Rush and they hashtag it. Microsoft is smart. They know.
Yeah. Yeah.
For however, I don't care any other game, Grounded, Halo, for don't care about any of that. High Five Rush is one of their high priority games that people know that they can make money off physically for Switch. It ain't no doubt.
I mean, I get this was like pre-acquisition or whatever, but you look at games like Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo and Doom and Wolfenstein and how well they did on PlayStation. My theory is I think Activision Blizzard games are going to stay multi-platform, all of them, forever.
Yeah.
I think Bethesda games, most of them will be timed exclusives. I think most of them will be timed exclusives, if not all of them. And I think internally, Xbox Game Studios games will be a game-by-game basis on what goes multi-platform and what doesn't as a timed exclusive, but most of them are exclusives, right? Like that's my personal theory on what they should do.
I agree with you with that because in a way that I could see Microsoft and ZeniMax just in general, ZeniMax going back to third party, but they have the choice. Microsoft chooses which one goes in because like I was telling EXP, I was just like I would love to see Psychonauts 2 on Switch. I would love to see the first Psychonauts on Switch. Like, I would love for that to come to Switch. But then I started thinking about it. I was just like, man, I think I would be down for Dishonored to be on Switch. Like, that series. You know,
I think you're going to see a lot of experimentation with what works in a handheld form and what doesn't. And especially with the next console. Right, the next Nintendo console, I think you're going to see a lot of. I think you're going to see Microsoft put some games out there that are like, does this work? Does this work? What doesn't work? Because they're making their own handheld to compete.
And I think that's probably going to happen with the next console. That a lot of companies may have to start putting games on Switch so that people won't get laid off. Like it's now come to a point where you may not have no choice. You can have a big budget game, but you may need to do a $40 million invested game and get it onto Nintendo's platform. And if it hits the right notes and it's selling, that's going to probably save your tail for you not laying folks. Look at Square Enix. They have released a lot of games that performed okay, but was not making the money. They started putting stuff on 3DS and it started getting them in the black. Like,
well, I mean, we even heard Sony with their financials, right? They're exploring options of. I think you're going to start seeing PlayStation games day and date on PC, and I think you're going to see them either attempt to make a PlayStation launcher that is the PC version of PlayStation Network, right? And I know PC players are going to hate it, but you're going to see it. You're going to see them try. And I think you're going to see day and date, especially with games like Helldivers. I mean, look at the success Helldivers is having because it was released day and date on Steam and PlayStation. Like, I think Sony sees that and like, oh, we should probably do this with everything, you know. And
well, Days Gone. Days Gone and Death Stranding, when those games hit PC, people were talking about it and it was doing numbers and it made the PlayStation community mad. Oh, why is these games selling and doing better and getting love on PC and not PlayStation?
Yeah,
Sony's not.
I mean, Days Gone was like one of the first examples of a PlayStation game selling better on PC than it did on PlayStation. Right?
Yep.
And I mean, I've heard interviews with, who left, Garvin left, right, and like he said, like, you know, it wasn't until the PC release where like Days Gone finally started getting its dues, right, and
yeah,
which is great. I feel bad for Sony Bend. I think they've gotten the short end of the stick ever since they were, you know, forced off of making siphon filter games for PS2 and making things like, you know, Uncharted Golden Abyss for PSP and, They were supposedly trying to make an Infamous game for PSP that got canceled, and then they were, after Days Gone, they were supposedly forced. They were the first team on The Last of Us remake Part 1, and they didn't want to do it. And then they were also rumored to be making the Uncharted 1 remake, and they didn't want to do it. And so that some of the team left, and now they're making who knows what. I think a new IP, I think, is what I heard what they were making last. So, I think Sony Bend is extremely underrated. I didn't play Days Gone. I thought what I saw of it was fine for people who like zombie games. Like, I think a lot of people, they did a lot of interesting things with that horde thing that they were trying to do. And, I think Days Gone probably got the short end of the stick in terms of reviews and stuff. Sony PR didn't do that game any favors. They sent it out. They sent review codes out like before the game was even pre-day one patch, like the patch before the day one patch, right? And that's how reviewers reviewed it, and it turned out to be better than that. So,
hey, Crackdown 3 had the same thing happen to him.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think you're going to start seeing. I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation starts exploring putting games like Helldivers and Fair Games and Concord, especially if those games don't do well out of the gate. Now, Helldivers is a different story, but I wouldn't be shocked if you saw them explore putting those games, if they're capable of running on the next Nintendo console or Xbox at some point. I think those games are coming day and date to PC, but it all comes back to like Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
Nintendo doesn't have to do any of that because they have managed their teams well over the last 3 decades, right? Like they've kept within their budgets, their timelines. They've had enough money to delay games to get it right. And I think what Nintendo has done, aside from budgeting correctly, is they are focused on the quality. And I think you see with the Switch, especially, is quality and gameplay are still king. And it doesn't matter if you have the most realistic looking graphics, the best actors in the game, right? It doesn't matter if you have made the greatest game of all time. And I think companies like From Software sees the success too. And, I would say some other Japanese companies probably see some sort of success like this too. But like, gameplay is king. Quality is king.
Yeah.
And you can do that without spending $300 million on the next blockbuster, right?
And I think even if Nintendo is not making it, if they trust you with their IP, you better believe, or even if they get a exclusive game from another party to be on their console, you better believe that if they got hands on, it's going to come out with that quality. They know if they need to delay stuff. They know if they need to fix. Miyamoto is still doing his thing. And look what we got out of Pikmin 4. And even though I think Pikmin 4 is the best selling because of 3 million plus, like Miyamoto, yes, he still let that young team do what they needed to do to make that game. But you could feel Miyamoto's hands on it, and you could still say that man definitely got it. Now, I wish Miyamoto would have probably had more input with Star Fox Zero, whatever you take from that. But he worked with a company who never knew how to do flight stuff. Platinum Games did not know how to do flight stuff because Platinum Games is a action-based kind of developer. But Nintendo and Platinum Games were in a good relationship. Same as with Koei Tecmo and Team Ninja stuff. Like, they are still in a good relationship, but with those, they just didn't have the expertise of it. And it's something new. I'm not faulting Platinum Games on it because that's something that they had to learn. You do get flying and stuff like that in Bayonetta 2 and probably Bayonetta 3, but Platinum Games is not known for the stuff that Star Fox. Bandai Namco is and stuff, and they could have went to Ubisoft is surprised is because of their game. So if Star Fox come out, and Nintendo got a good relationship with Ubisoft with Mario and Rabbids. If Miyamoto want to do a Star Fox game, he's gonna go to the Ubisoft team.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I think just to cap it off, I know we're wrapping up. I think Nintendo's wise decisions of Iwata making that foundational move to keep this team together and giving us something like the Switch mixed with Nintendo's current, I would say, more conservative leadership, which is the next console is clearly going to be another Switch. There's no doubt in my mind it's just going to be another Switch that's more powerful and does maybe a few extra features, or maybe they'll give us themes this time. Maybe that'll be the big change. I kid. I don't really care about themes, but I know people do. But I think that's going to lead into our next episode of Expansion Pass of why Nintendo's next console will see a similar success as the Switch did.
Yes.
Little tease.
Yes. Well, everybody, like Curry said, we're going to wrap it up there. I know we didn't speak too much on the layoff stuff at some point, but we had to speak about Microsoft. We had to speak about Sony and their business and things like that because it does play a role in this gaming industry. Like, it is very important to recognize other companies and their business things and how sometimes it affects Nintendo and vice versa. So, everybody, we want you to have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Expansion Pass. Bye, everybody.
Bye. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.